This story shares the same universe as might and mysticism and absolute sword sense. In a distant future, billions of nanobots were injected into a man's body. That moment marked the beginning of his invincible path to godhood. His name was Cheon Yeo-woon, the illegitimate son of the demon sex leader and a servant woman. Though untrained in martial arts, his bloodline gave him the right to inherit the sect, making him the target of an assassination squad. Cornered and bleeding, Cheon Yeo-woon fought back and managed to kill one of them, something they never expected. But that act only earned him a far crueler death. As he lay dying, the man who stood on his chest suddenly exploded from the waist up. A figure in futuristic attire appeared out of thin air. Within seconds, every enemy in sight was annihilated. The stranger seemed unable to remain long, yet he spoke warmly, calling Cheon Yeo-woon ancestor. He injected an unknown fluid into Cheon Yeo-woon's neck. "Please, ancestor," he said, "you must succeed, so your descendant can share your glory." With those words, his figure vanished into the air. This was a martial world filled with countless sects, righteous clans, heretical factions, and demonic orders. Among them, the demonic path revered only strength and conquest. The next morning, Cheon Yeo-woon woke up in bed. His entire body felt sticky and reeked of a foul odor. A calm, mechanical voice echoed beside his ear, identifying itself as Sky Collaborator, 7th generation nanobot. It told him it had fully repaired his body. Then, a torrent of data surged into his mind. Overwhelmed, he couldn't help but vomit. In that instant, he realized his body contained exactly 648,240,000 nanobots. His half-brother, who had always wanted him dead, would never imagine that he now possessed such mysterious power. Just then, his bodyguard arrived with a physician. Cheon Yeo-woon quickly lay back down, feigning weakness. The doctor stepped forward to take his pulse. What he discovered left him utterly stunned. All toxins and waste had been expelled from Cheon Yeo-woon's body, and his meridians flowed smoother than ever before. Cheon Yeo-woon couldn't quite grasp what it all meant. The nanobot's analysis revealed that his body had become the perfect vessel for martial cultivation. They had purged every impurity from his system, optimizing his blood vessels, meridians, and muscles to their ideal performance. Within the demon's sect, an empire built upon martial prowess and dark arts. Countless factions existed, but 6 dominant schools stood above the rest. The demon lord had once forged a pact with those 6 schools, marrying their heiresses to produce successors. These offspring would hold the title of young lord candidates and, upon coming of age, enter the demonic dojo for training. The dojo opened only once every 10 years. Among the cult, that period was known as the War of Succession. The physician who examined Cheon Yeo-woon found nothing abnormal, prescribing only mild tonics to restore his energy. Yet on his way out, disbelief clouded his mind. No ordinary man could undergo such an impossible transformation. Once incapable of learning martial arts, Cheon Yeo-woon now rivaled the gifted heirs of the 6 great sects. The physician secretly assumed that the demon lord himself must have intervened. After bathing, Cheon Yeo-woon asked, "Nanobot, to what extent can you heal my body?" The mechanical voice replied, "External lacerations and internal organ trauma can be repaired instantly. However, severe blood loss or amputations require cellular regeneration and will take more time." He didn't fully understand, but decided to test it anyway. He drew a shallow cut across his hand. A tingling numbness followed, and the wound sealed in seconds. His body felt denser, sturdier, almost as if he had trained in external martial arts for years. "Nanobot is too awkward a name," he said with a grin. "From now on, you're Silro." Then, Cheon Yeo-woon entered the study to explore Silro's other capabilities. He picked up a manual detailing the human acupoints. As his fingers flipped through the pages, Silro announced, "Scan complete. Transfer data to user's neural core." "Yes," he answered. Instantly, new memories flooded his mind. He could recall every page perfectly and even understood the concepts. Silro had corrected the book's mistakes before uploading the knowledge. So this means I can memorize and master martial arts faster than anyone else. The heirs of the sixth sex have been trained in advanced techniques since childhood, while Cheon Yo-woon was restricted to Taoist breathing methods under their watch. Yet rumor said the demonic dojo's grand library held the world's largest collection of martial arts, including tomes stolen from both righteous and demonic sects. With this ability, Cheon Yo-woon felt certain he could grow stronger faster than anyone in the demonic dojo and survive. Meanwhile, the son of the subjugation sect, Heavenly Martial Gene, learned that Cheon Yo-woon was still alive. Smirking, he vowed to kill him personally inside the dojo, avenging his fallen kin. The day of entry arrived. Cheon Yo-woon hadn't slept all night, anxiety gnawing at his chest. He considered secretly learning Gar Jiang's short sword technique, just enough to defend himself. But his late mother had left a strict oath. Before entering the dojo, he was forbidden to practice martial arts. Breaking it under the sixth sex watchful eyes would mean death. Just then, Silro's voice echoed. "Would you like me to scan Gar Jiang's training movements?" Cheon Yo-woon froze. "Scan his moves and transfer them to my brain? My database contains extensive martial arts data," Silro explained. "Transfer can begin immediately." He hesitated. Stealing another's martial art was a grave taboo in the martial world. But with noon approaching, hesitation meant death. He would enter the dojo alone. "Do it," he commanded. "Scan." After half an hour, the scan was complete. Neural transfer began immediately. His mind filled with an avalanche of new data. It was overwhelming. He drew his sword and thrust once. The exact same motion Gar Jiang had practiced for 20 years. Silro analyzed the guard's muscle fibers and meridian flow. "Shall I transfer the optimized patterns to your body?" Pain erupted across his entire being. "Silro, why does it hurt so much?" he gasped. "Your body is adapting through simulated muscle reconstruction," Silro replied calmly. "Transfer will complete in 1 hour before entry." Cheon Yo-woon agreed without hesitation. The agony was unbearable. Silro activated anesthesia mode, plunging him into unconsciousness. In the kitchen, Gar Jiang prepared his meal. Before her death, the lady of the house had entrusted Cheon Yo-woon to his care. 5 years had passed. The boy had grown. Jiang prayed silently that his young master would survive inside the dojo. Suddenly, a scream tore through the air. Jiang rushed in, terrified. He took the boy's pulse. Nothing seemed amiss. Then he noticed a series of deep footprints embedded in the floor. Impossible, he thought. Just by watching me for 2 years, he's mastered what I've trained for 20. As the conversion finished, Silro lifted the anesthesia. Cheon Yo-woon slowly opened his eyes. He flexed his fingers. The pain was gone. Another thrust, this time sharper, faster, more precise. The second form, the footwork was flawless. Seeing the new marks gouged into the ground, he panicked. Damn, it'll be obvious someone practiced here. At that exact moment, Gar Jiang entered with food. Cheon Yo-woon hurriedly moved the table to cover the prints. The meal was filled with his favorite dishes. He grinned, eating hungrily. But before he could finish, Jiang asked quietly, "Young master, when did you learn my short sword technique?" Cheon Yo-woon instinctively pushed the table aside. Clear footprints beneath it were instantly revealed. He stammered, unable to explain himself. Stealing martial arts was a grave taboo. Yet blinded by curiosity over Silro's abilities, he had done it anyway. But instead of anger, Gar Jiang smiled and praised him. "Well done, young master. If not for the alliance with the sixth sex, I would have taught you myself." He then handed over the internal breathing manual for the short sword technique. As for the inner cultivation methods, he added, "You'll find many stronger ones in the demonic dojo. Learn those instead." Tears welled up in Cheon Yo-woon's eyes. He had only cried twice in his life, once when his mother died, and now. He swore silently, never again. No more tears, no more hesitation, no more fear. Even if his mother was gone, he still had a place to call home. The demonic dojo finally opened, gathering every faction of the demon sect. On the high stage, a crimson-haired man stepped forward. The left guardian, Flame King Li Huoming. His gaze swept the crowd with disdain. "What a pitiful lot," he muttered. "Only the ones in front show a hint of spirit." Those at the front were heirs of the six great sects, each wearing a number 6 badge symbolizing their status. Yet the seventh heir, Cheon Yeowon, was nowhere to be seen. His badge, he was told, had mysteriously gone missing. He had to wait. He smirked inwardly. So this is their little trick. Since childhood, the others had tried to kill him. If he stood among them now, they'd probably finish the job. I survived all your attempts, and now I'm here. I'll grow stronger, and you'll pay the price. When his replacement badge finally arrived, he was placed in the very last row. The others whispered and pointed. He didn't need to hear the words to know they were mocking him, but he ignored them. From the stage, Li Huoming noticed him standing alone and let out a quiet laugh. A blare of horns echoed, the arrival of the sect leader. Several overwhelming auras descended, silencing the crowd. The drunken right guardian, Mad Blade Yimeng, stumbled forward, bumping into Li Huoming. Li sneered, "Right guardian, showing up dressed like a beggar?" Yimeng hiccuped and glared. "Red-haired bastard, say that again." "Silence," barked the Grand Guardian, Underworld King Ma Luo Qian. Then the sect leader took his seat. He was one of the 5 supreme masters of the martial world, the great Tian Yuzong, lord of the demonic sect. His presence alone was suffocating. Few dared lift their heads. His voice was calm, yet filled with power, echoing across the grand hall. After a brief speech welcoming new disciples, the hall erupted in thunderous cheers. As he turned to leave, his eyes flicked toward Cheon Yeowon. Not a moment's pause, not a hint of emotion. He turned away. Their first meeting ended in cold indifference. But Cheon Yeowon had expected as much. Even when his mother died, the sect leader never appeared. The initiation of the demonic dojo officially began. Each term lasted 4 years, divided into 6 progressive stages, and each advancement test could only be taken once. Failure meant immediate expulsion. At that moment, the number 2 heir of the Sword Demon sect, Tian Jingyun, raised his hand to ask a question. Li Huoming snapped, "You have no right to speak." The arrogant Tian Jingyun clenched his fists, his temper flaring. "From the moment you entered," Li Huoming continued, "all privileges of the 6 great sects and their retainers are revoked. Do you wish to be eliminated before the competition even begins?" Laughter rippled through the audience. Tian Jingyun bowed his head, swallowing his anger. Li Huoming smirked. He already knew what the boy wanted to ask. Those who pass the stage exam will receive 3 special rewards. First, the demonic dragon orb. By absorbing its aura, you'll gain 20 years of internal energy instantly. Cheon Yeowon's heart pounded. With no inner power of his own, passing the exam might be his only chance to gain it. Second, the martial arts manual. The dojo's archive has 5 levels. Each stage you clear unlocks 1 floor, and based on your performance, you may even study the secret techniques of the 6 great sects. For Cheon Yeowon, obtaining those manuals was far more urgent than inner energy itself. Third, an unprecedented rank and position within the sect. Li Huoming's gaze swept across the hall. Don't think entering the dojo makes you special. This is a world where the weak are devoured by the strong. Even the heirs hold no privilege here. So that's it, Cheon Yeowon thought. If I want to live, I have to climb upward, cut my way through every test. Li Huoming raised his hand. Now, to assign dormitories and teams, we begin the first stage examination. Cheon Yeowon froze. An exam already? We haven't even learned anything yet. The first test measured one's basic qualifications. To become a warrior of the demon sect, one needed at least the ability to harness inner chi. Those without it would be relegated to the lowest tier of servants, fodder for everyone else. In that moment, he understood why his mother had forbidden him from learning internal arts before entering. It was the wives of the 6 sect leaders. Their conspiracy, if he failed the exam, he would be cast down to the lowest rank of the sect, and once that happened, they could kill him openly without consequence. The fifth elder of the demonic sect, the head of the Sound Demon clan, Xiang Siyu, appeared. She would oversee the first stage examination. The crowd tensed, instinctively covering their ears. Anyone possessing even the faintest trace of inner chi could endure her music for 15 minutes. Those who lasted that long, without fainting, would pass the test. As Xiang Siyu plucked her strings, a shrill resonance swept across the field, so sharp it pierced through even covered ears. Most candidates from minor sects collapsed instantly, while the heirs of the six great sects and higher clans barely held their ground. They had been raised on rare elixirs since childhood, their inner power already substantial. But as Xiang Suyu's tempo accelerated, even they began to falter. What's happening? Xiang herself was puzzled. Why hasn't that boy fallen yet? Qion Yeowun was just as confused. Half the arena now lay unconscious. Silro's voice echoed in his mind. Detected high-frequency and low-frequency audio interference. Potentially lethal. Emergency defense protocol activated. Auditory perception temporarily suspended to block external sonic damage. He realized the reason he could still hear Silro was because it transmitted data directly into his brain. On stage, Xiang Suyu's eyes locked on him. Qion Yeowun trembled unconsciously. Li Huaming noticed the elder's increasingly frantic rhythm. They said the boy had no inner power. Yet he's still standing, he murmured. As the dojo master, it was the first time he had witnessed such an entertaining first stage test. Blood began to trickle from the ears of several students. Tian Wujin also sensed something was off. His eyes darted toward the youth behind him. The others followed his gaze. There stood Qion Yeowun, upright, unmoving, untouched by the sound. Impossible. He must have qi, someone shouted. Qion Yeowun saw the fury burning in their eyes. Silro began analyzing facial movements. Detected muscle tension associated with disbelief, disgust, irritation, and anger. It reported. If I pass unscathed, he thought, no one will believe I lack inner power. Silro, he whispered, can you make me take internal damage? Possible, it replied, but self-inflicted harm is not recommended. Do it anyway. Just as the performance ends, make me cough blood. The music reached its peak as the final seconds ticked away. Xiang Suyu sneered. That wretched boy, still standing so calmly. Xiang Suyu's pride refused to let the test end like this. She decided to see if Qion Yeowun could withstand a performance infused with half her power. Such sound waves were lethal. No one else could possibly endure them. Li Huaming sensed danger and shouted for her to stop. Xiang snapped back to her senses and abruptly cut the music. By then, everyone in the arena had collapsed, except Qion Yeowun. Yimeng frowned. Another few seconds and we'd all be down. The sound demon sure overdid it this time. Humiliated, Xiang Suyu blamed all on him. That wretched bastard. He violated the Sixth Sect Pact and secretly trained inner chi. At that moment, Silro executed the prior command. Qion Yeowun suddenly spewed a torrent of blood. Gasps rippled through the crowd. No one understood what had happened. Silro had obeyed perfectly, forcefully damaging internal organs and reversing blood flow to the brink of death. You lunatic, Qion cursed silently. Are you trying to kill me? Blood kept pouring from his mouth. If I die here, it'll cause chaos. After all, I'm the sect leader's bloodline, he thought dimly. As dojo master, Li Huaming had to take responsibility. When nearly 70% of his blood volume was lost, dizziness overwhelmed him. Silro prepared to regenerate his organs and replenish blood, but he muttered weakly, "Not yet, wait a little longer." Warning, fatal threshold approaching, Silro intoned. Li Huaming stepped closer, probing his internal energy. The results stunned him. Qion Yeowun possessed no inner chi at all. He survived purely through willpower, he whispered in disbelief. Get him to the infirmary, he ordered. As he was carried away, Qion urged Silro silently to begin healing. Watching him go, Li Huaming muttered, if he weren't a bastard child, I'd make him my disciple. Yimeng, hearing that the boy had endured through sheer grit, chuckled with interest. Go crawl back to your corner and drink, Li Huaming snapped. The air between them crackled with killing intent. Yi Ming snorted and turned away, unwilling to waste breath. Kids these days, collapsing from a little sound wave, he scoffed. That bastard son, though, I like his spirit. Xion Yowun lay on a pristine bed in the infirmary. The attending physician, Dr. Bai, was astonished. He'd never seen a patient spit so much blood from internal shock alone. He reached out to take the boy's pulse. Xion glanced at him warily from the corner of his eye. In truth, before they'd even reached the infirmary, Silro had already repaired every trace of internal injury. Though the pain lingered, Xion Yowun forced himself to endure until the treatment was finished. Judging from Dr. Bai's pulse reading, his internal injuries were indeed severe. The doctor pondered for a moment, preparing his acupuncture needles. Suddenly, the door burst open with a loud kick. Yimeng sauntered in, his movements lazy but his eyes sharp. "Hey, brat," he growled. "Done pretending to sleep?" A wave of qi lifted Chon Yo-Woon's body into the air. He felt completely paralyzed, pinned by invisible force. "Keep faking it, and I'll slap you awake," Yimeng warned. Realizing he'd been caught, Qion gave a weak smile. "How did you know?" "At my level," Yimeng snorted, "I can read your breathing like a book." He tilted his wine gourd and smirked. "These days, the young ones are all bark and no bite. You, though, not bad." Qion replied faintly, "It's nothing special, just stubbornness." "Ye guardian, perhaps you should let him rest first," Dr. Bai interjected carefully. Before he could finish, Qion spat another mouthful of blood. Yimeng frowned, then pressed a palm against the boy's chest. A warm surge of qi entered his body, restoring some strength. Then Yimeng grinned. "Kid, I've decided. You're coming with me. I'll take you as my disciple." Both Dr. Bai and Qion Yowun froze. Yimeng took another swig of wine. Do you even know who I am?" Qion asked hesitantly. "Everyone in the demon's sect does. If you make me your disciple, the 6 sects will hate you for it." Yimeng laughed loudly. "Let them. If I want to take a disciple, who dares stop me?" Qion fell silent. It might be the best opportunity of his life, or the deadliest trap yet. Yimeng could see the boy's deep suspicion. Given the life he'd led, such caution was understandable. "All right then," he said with a grin. "Let me make you an offer worth considering." He slammed something down on the bedside table. "You don't seem worried about falling behind." "Huh? Sure, you passed the first exam on sheer willpower, but without inner qi, how will you survive the second? Stay here in the infirmary for 14 days, and you'll be left in the dust." Qion Yo-Woon knew Silro could heal him instantly, but if he didn't want to arouse suspicion, he had to stay put. The others who'd passed the exam were injured too, but they could channel qi to heal themselves. None of them needed the infirmary. No wonder he was the only one here. He couldn't even circulate energy. Then a thought struck him. Passing the first stage granted a demonic dragon orb and access to the first floor of the manual library. The dojo's library wasn't freely accessible. Each person could only enter once per cleared stage, and they were allowed just 1 hour inside. Copying was forbidden. Everything had to be memorized. At best, one could retain 2 manuals. For Qion Yo-Woon, however, that was a perfect opportunity. With Silro's scanning ability, he could record nearly 100 manuals in a single hour. He was already starting from a different line than the rest. The others had trained in their sects martial arts long before entering the dojo. If I want to survive the 6 sects' hostility, maybe becoming the right guardian's disciple is the only way. His eyes drifted to the paper on the bedside. It was a qi cultivation manual. Yimeng smirked. "You guessed it. Become my disciple, and I'll teach you inner cultivation right now." Trembling, Qion Yo-Woon rose from bed, dropped to his knees, and bowed deeply. Disciple Qion Yo-Woon pays respect to the right guardian. "Please accept my bow." Yimeng lifted him up with a wave of his hand. "Remember this," he said with a faint smile. "The blood of the heavenly line bows to no one, except the sect leader himself. Before I return," Yimeng said as he turned to leave, "memorize the qi cultivation manual I gave you. I'll be off. Dr. Bai, take good care of my disciple." Dr. Bai and Cheon Yeo-woon exchanged a helpless look, watching the drunken guardian swagger out of the room. After Silro, now the right guardian, fate kept throwing strange opportunities his way. Mother, Jean the guard, Cheon thought. In this den of enemies, someone finally stands on my side. He clenched his fists. No matter what, I'll survive. Meanwhile, those who passed the first exam gathered in the grand arena to cultivate inner chi. The dojo's chief instructor, Hu Zhenchang, reported, 415 passed the trial. About 200 fewer than the previous generation. Unsurprising, given Elder Xiang's brutal sound test. Some of the disqualified protested loudly. Restrain them and expel them from the dojo, Li Huaming ordered coldly. Such was the fate of the weak. Still, many among the survivors were exceptionally gifted. Those who endured Elder Xiang's half-powered sound wave without harm must possess the equivalent of 60 years cultivation. Li Huaming smirked. This year's air competition will be interesting. The dojo issued bronze tags, symbols of a lower-ranked warrior in the demon sect. New rules followed. Within the dojo, students must answer every superior, including the master, with one word, Ma Dao. Never yes or no. The crowd roared in unison, Ma Dao. Good. Begin team assignments, Li Huaming commanded. Back in the infirmary, Dr. Bai prepared his acupuncture needles. Let's begin. Silro detected sharp metallic contact and immediately activated emergency defense mode. No stop, Cheon shouted. It's treatment, not an attack. Fortunately, the protocol was aborted in time. From now on, he ordered, don't react to things I willingly accept. The acupuncture eased the tension in his abdomen. Silro displayed detailed biological readouts for his review. Suddenly, an idea struck him. Silro, can you heal me fully, but make sure the doctor doesn't notice during the pulse check? Yes, I can alter pulse patterns at will, it replied. Perfect, Cheon thought. That buys me time to train under the right guardian. All right then, he said softly. Heal me, and fake the pulse when he checks again. Outside, group formation had finished. The next announcement followed. To qualify for the second stage exam and become mid-tier warriors, you must master the basics of combat tactics. You have 21 days to prepare. For ordinary students, that was an almost impossible challenge. There were 20 teams in total. After 3 weeks of matches, only 10 would advance. Starting tomorrow, the martial instructors before you will patiently teach tactics and formations. Many shuddered as they remembered the earlier scene of rebels being subdued and dragged away. When the announcement ended, everyone dispersed. Only a handful remained. Among them, Tian Wujin stayed behind. He informed the instructor that his team's number 7 had gone to the infirmary. He didn't want one missing member to cause his entire team to be eliminated. So he planned to personally relay what was said to the number 7. That low-born wretch got assigned to my team. Then I'll personally shatter his limbs, he sneered. The instructor praised his resolve and agreed to pass the message, taking student number 3's suggestion into account. Tian Wujin waved him off. I'll handle it myself. No need to trouble you. Do you think students can come and go from the dojo as they please? The instructor retorted. Even if he claims to be a candidate of the subjugation sect, it won't help him here. Then I leave it to you, Tian Wujin replied quietly. We'll wait until he returns to his quarters, then strike. The instructor smiled. I'll make him taste agony, unable to die even if he begs for it. Tian Wujin vowed. The instructor's expression shifted when he learned the student would remain in the infirmary for 14 days. He silently hoped his team wouldn't be disqualified because of that one man. That night, Cheon Yeo-woon fell asleep. The instructor planned to return tomorrow. At dawn, a shadowy figure kicked his door open. Yi Meng burst in, laughing. Disciple, your master has arrived. A boisterous belch followed. Aren't you going to salute your master? He teased. Cheon awkwardly performed the customary greeting. Yi Meng asked, did you memorize the Qi manual last night? Fortunately, Silro had finished transferring the content ahead of time. Yi Meng had been teasing, but he hadn't expected the boy to memorize it despite still being badly wounded. Cheon wondered why he'd come so early. Yi Ming explained that the time available to teach him would be only 14 days. Once Yi Ming returned to his quarters, frequent meetings inside the dojo would be difficult. During the day, he'd be busy at the master's hall. This window was a rare lapse in vigilance that wouldn't arouse suspicion. Besides, the dojo strictly forbade learning martial arts from anyone other than an authorized instructor. Xion had thought Yi Ming unreasonable. Now he realized the guardian might genuinely be concerned for him. "No time to waste. Start now," Yi Ming murmured. "Turn back and sit on the floor." He sat down as well, composed and deliberate. His hand settled on Xion Yeowun's back. He was about to implant the circulation method of the manual directly into the boy's body. Xion blinked. "Implant? I've never heard of that." Yi Ming replied calmly. "It's a sophisticated technique invented by my master. Bite your teeth. If you scream and alert the guards, it's over." A dense wave of internal energy flowed from Yi Ming into Xion's meridians. Silro detected an invisible force entering through the Mingmen point and began cross-referencing its internal database. The circulating energy through specific acupoints was identified as a form of qi or a chakra-like rotational system. Xion sensed his master forcibly clearing blocked channels with overwhelming power. The pain was excruciating. Yi Ming exclaimed in surprise. "You really never practiced at all? Then why can your 14 meridians circulate internal energy so smoothly?" "Your muscle coordination and meridian alignment suit martial application already." In Xion's mind, a realization dawned. So the sect leader intervened. Among the 7 wives, Lady Huang must be the most doted upon. This child might be hers, or she secretly arranged aid. Yi Ming declared, "With your aptitude, we can seed inner qi in your dantian within 7 days." Meanwhile, in the student quarters of the dojo, group struggles raged on. The poison demon heir had been unexpectedly bested by a boy from an obscure upper clan. Here, status meant nothing. Only strength mattered. Since the victor had won, the 12th squad captain would be by Ji. Yi Ming finished the implantation. The method was perfect for someone utterly ignorant of inner cultivation. The objective: generate dantian qi within 7 days. Watching his master's exhaustion, Xion knew a great deal of qi had been spent. He bowed inwardly, grateful. "Master, I won't fail you." Yi Ming chuckled. "Rare to hear you say that. Meditate on the breathing and circulation route of the Wuqian Mind Manual," Yi Ming advised. "I'll go for now. Recover well." Yi Ming was only the 3rd person in the world to make Xion feel warmth. He vowed to forge inner qi within 7 days. The next morning, all students gathered in the grand arena. Just as Li Huoming predicted, the heirs of the 6 great sects became team captains. On the first day, none of the instructors returned to their quarters, permitting free competition for leadership. Yet something odd was soon noticed. The captain of Team 12 was, astonishingly, the unknown student number 18. Bold enough to pull that off, he might become a dark horse in the air competition. Clearly, the kid had both guts and skill. The chief instructor announced a 7-day schedule. Mornings in the hall for tactics and theory, afternoons in the arena for formation drills. Form 5 squads and move to the hall. Tian Tsongjian of the Poison Demon sect still seethed over last night's defeat. A mocking voice derided him as a fool. "Besides poison arts, what have you got? Go scrub for the lesser clans." Tian, who'd always been arrogant, had never been humiliated like this. He glared at the low-born youth, by G, with contempt. "Enjoy your captain's toy while you can. I'll make you regret being matched with me. I'll destroy you," he hissed. That evening, Team 8's instructor praised Tian Wujin's formation command. "By the way, I heard your number 7 is supposed to stay in the infirmary for 14 days. I'll pay him a visit tonight to teach the lesson again," the instructor added. Tian Wujin kicked open the dormitory door in fury. He refused to believe the number 7 was really hospitalized. Surely it was an act. The thought of that low-born brat lying comfortably enraged him. One of his lackeys slipped him a small, concealed weapon. It was exactly what Tian wanted. For days past, and the infirmary received another patient. A Team 8 trainee had been seriously wounded during live blade practice and hemorrhaged heavily. The treatment was quick this time. Though the meridians were intact, the wound was deep. 3 days hospitalization required. Why do my teammates keep messing up? Someone muttered, "This will need an incident report." That injured student quietly climbed out of bed at night. He picked up Dr. Bai's surgical knife. First, he planned to cripple Cheon Yeo-woon so he couldn't walk. He's forced into this, Cheon thought. I won't blame him. Suddenly, a violent jolt of electricity surged through the man's body. He passed out almost immediately, just as Cheon had expected. When the man opened his eyes again, he found himself bound. A hand peeled back the curtain. "It's me, Little Baldy." He'd heard Cheon suffered severe internal injuries, so why'd he now look unscathed? Cheon held up a mirror, showing his shaved scalp. The man realized with a jolt that he no longer could feel the sensation of hair brushing his skin. In agony, he writhed on the bed. Cheon punched him in the face. Then he stuffed a cloth in the man's mouth. Silenced, the man still mumbled feebly through the gag. "You think I survived to this age by luck?" Cheon Yeo-woon said coldly. "All my life, men like you have tried to assassinate me. If you treat this as a joke, you should know how truly painful a stab can be." He demanded sharply, "Who sent you?" and ripped the gag from the man's mouth. The man stammered, claiming ignorance, and brazenly insisted he didn't believe Cheon would kill him in the infirmary. "Outside of training or sanctioned combat, you do not harm others inside the dojo," he protested. "What can you possibly do to me, brat?" the man sneered. Cheon smiled thinly. "Let's see if your mouth stays shut." He shoved the rag back into the man's mouth. Grabbing Dr. Bai's surgical tools, Cheon thought, "I never had these where I used to live." "Look how scared you are. Your fist is clenched so tight," he observed. One by one, he pried open the man's fingers. "It'll sting a bit. Bear with it," he murmured. A long needle drove into the gaps between the man's knuckles. 10 fingers, 1 heart. Don't take it lightly, Cheon warned. "Don't fake it." Yet after only one hand was pierced, the man fainted twice. "Now let's try your right hand," Cheon said. The man shook his head frantically. "Ready to talk now?" Cheon pressed. "Why didn't you speak up earlier?" he snapped. The man realized then. Keep going and he'd either die or be maimed for life. Cheon asked directly, "Were you sent by Tian Wu-jin?" "You're probably wondering how I know," he continued. "Thanks to that capable captain, Tian Wu-jin, my instructors come every morning to tutor me. He even told me in detail which group he's in and who the members are." Cheon fixed his gaze. "Are you student number 23, Su Feng?" Su Feng stammered, bewildered that rumors painted him as trash. Cheon sneered, "This kid's a monster. I simply haven't shown my fangs because I'm weak right now." Terrified, Su Feng swore he would never reveal what had happened. "Please, don't be angry," he begged. Cheon channeled inner force to his fingertips and struck an acupoint to paralyze the man. Su Feng, trembling, whispered, "Who said he had no inner power?" That man lied to everyone. At dawn, Yi Ming visited his beloved disciple again, astonished that it was already time to let the boy use that thing. After finishing practice the night before, the kid had actually formed inner chi in his dantian. It had taken only 5 days. Most needed 2 or 3 weeks, some a full month. The result far exceeded Yi Ming's expectations. "Seems I'll need to change the plan," he thought. He produced a demon dragon pellet, a brown pill forged by the demon sect, reeking of a pungent odor. It granted 20 years of inner power, but was rarely made, reserved for academy elites. The stench was still unbearable. With his master's help minimizing the backlash, Cheon could absorb the full 20 years of chi. If this works, Cheon thought, I might finally stand on my own. Yi Ming noticed an unconscious man lying nearby. Cheon explained that the man had feigned injury to sneak in and assassinate him. To attempt murder in the infirmary. He knows exposure means expulsion, Yi Ming growled. Someone must be backing him, promising protection. Cheon revealed the man was from the same team, of the subduing demon sect. That clan breeds nothing but violent troublemakers. Kid, you've never known peace, have you? Yi Meng sighed. It's fine. I'm used to it, Qion replied calmly. Yi Meng suddenly struck Su Feng's acupoints again. Without a year of cultivation, such a seal fades in hours. To make it permanent takes at least 10 years of qi. Understood? Answer me. Yes, master. I'll remember, Qion said firmly. Good. Now swallow the demon dragon pellet. Chew it completely first. It absorbs better that way. The reeking pill already made him gag. As expected, its taste was horrid, bitter enough to numb his tongue and make him retch. He forced it down, sat cross-legged, and assumed the Wuqian mind posture. I'll help circulate the medicine, Yi Meng said, placing a hand on his back. Please, master, Qion murmured. Silro detected energizing compounds entering the bloodstream and asked whether to accelerate metabolism to aid absorption. Qion, guessing that meant help the medicine work, approved it. Yi Meng was thunderstruck. Could this boy be born with the body of a martial prodigy? Normally, one absorbed at most 80% of the drug, but Qion seemed to take it all in. His inner qi surged like a raging tide. Yi Meng sighed. This disciple of mine, he truly leaves a master no room for complacency. Time blurred, before long dawn broke and the sun rose. At last, Qion Yeowun finished absorbing the entire pill. Gasping, his master asked how the increase in inner qi felt. This time, even Yi Meng had expended considerable effort. You've gained half a jiazi's worth of cultivation from that, Yi Meng said. Ordinarily, a student swallowing a demon dragon pellet would be lucky to absorb half its potency. Qion understood the weight of the remark and bowed deeply. Thank you, master. Yi Meng smiled. Fate ordained it. My fate is you. Silro, Qion murmured. Silro replied in its cool tone. Assisting the host is my programmed duty. It was time for his master to leave. Qion called after him. Master, tomorrow, will you teach me your secret blade style, the butterfly dance? He asked. Yi Meng nodded without hesitation. Of course. During your hospital stay, you'll be pressed for time. Be prepared to train hard. At dawn, all students assembled in the grand arena. Tian Wujin couldn't hide his smug smile. Good plan, Zixian, he told an ally. Thanks to you. That worm of man, his tendons are probably shredded. He's writhing like a maggot now. I can't wait to tear him apart so he crawls on the ground. Just the thought makes my blood itch. Dr. Bai in the infirmary couldn't help laughing aloud. How did you lose all your hair in one night? Ha ha ha, he mocked. The injured man beside them couldn't respond. The scene took on an absurd quality. Wiping tears from his eyes, Dr. Bai drew the curtain around Qion's bed. At that moment, Dr. Bai noticed Qion Yeowun remaining unusually silent. He understood instinctively that something had happened the previous night. Still, as the Demon Academy's chief physician, his duty was to heal, never to question. 2 days later, Su Feng returned to Team 8's quarters. Tian Wujin frowned. Weren't you supposed to be expelled? Su stammered. My internal wounds were too severe. The doctor's been treating me through the night. Tian sneered. The doctor doesn't sleep at night. Don't make excuses. Su lowered his voice. As ordered, I acted before dawn, but the doctor happened to be awake. Tian erupted. How sharp can a doctor's ears be? You useless idiot. Can't even get this right. Zixian quickly intervened. Please, my lord, one moment. He turned to Su. Do you know the doctor's name? I think he's called by Zhong Ming, Su replied nervously. Zixian paused, realization dawning. By Zhong Ming, that's the disciple of the infamous medical demon Bai, Zhong Yu. The man, born of the poison demon sect, yet devoted to healing, had become the sect leader's own physician, a medic whose martial skill ranked among the top within the academy. If he was a disciple of that famed medic, his martial skill must be exceptional. Tian Wujin snarled. Damn it, sending that kid was pointless. Don't expect me to support your petty sect. It had been Tian who originally recruited Su Feng for the task. He had promised unconditional backing. Even if Su were expelled, Tian would still support that weak sect. Had Tian honored his vow, he intended to report everything honestly. Keep venting. Wait until that man returns and see if you can still be so arrogant, Tian sneered. He ripped Sue's headscarf away. In the lamplight, Sue saw his pale reflection. A beating followed. Others disliked what they saw but dared not intervene. Tion's celestial lineage scared them into silence. When he tired, Tion left Sue sprawled like a dead dog on the floor. Sue sobbed and cursed Tion and Chion. "All of you, go to hell," he spat. Chion asked Dr. Bai if he practiced combat. Bai shook his head. He only studied medicine, no martial arts. 7 days later at dawn, Chion practiced the spy shadow step with the proper form. His master grew more convinced the boy was a rare prodigy. After only a few demonstrations and minor corrections, the boy picked it up. Chion himself was surprised. His posture and movement were unexpectedly natural and correct. He owed it to Silro's earlier scan of the master's stance that allowed a near-perfect reproduction. But he knew that being flawless too soon would arouse suspicion, so he deliberately slowed his progress. The butterfly dance blade style comprised 24 forms. 3 forms make a full technique. Yimeng had spent much time on fundamentals and hadn't yet taught the full transitions. 7 days was simply too short. "Good, well practiced," Yimeng said. "This covers the forms and qi circulation methods that I wanted to teach in person, but today is the last lesson. With your head and aptitude, grasp the essentials. I'll test you next time." No slacking. "Train hard," Chion responded respectfully. Chion Yowun bowed deeply. "Thank you, Master. I won't fail your expectations." Yimeng smiled and produced a black short blade. "This is my mad dance blade. Take a look." "Most blades weigh 2 or 3 jin," he explained. "But ours, this sacred blade, weighs less than 1.5. It's because of the butterfly dance style, isn't it?" "Smart as ever," Yimeng chuckled. He slashed toward the bedpost. "So sharp," Chion whispered. "Light, yet forged with alchemical steel. Razor-edged and unbreakable. That's why it's called a treasure blade." Yimeng grinned. "You've been curious, haven't you? Then watch closely. This is my butterfly dance technique." Chion summoned Silro silently. "Begin scan." After finishing his seamless demonstration, Yimeng nodded in satisfaction and strolled out. On the rooftop above, 2 figures watched him depart. The Grand Guardian said softly, "Pretending not to know for these 2 weeks must have been tiring, Li Huoming." Li Huoming replied, "Whose orders could I dare disobey?" "The infirmary guards should return to their original posts," the Grand Guardian said. Li Huoming frowned. "I still don't understand. Why treat the 7th young lord with such care?" "Because that," the Grand Guardian said calmly, "is fairness." "You mean because he's of the same bloodline?" "Do not question the Lord's intentions," the Grand Guardian warned. A breeze swept past, and the man was gone. Li Huoming stared at the empty roof. 14 days, and fairness, you say?" he murmured. In the infirmary, Dr. Bai noticed Chion still asleep. That IT was strange. He was usually up by now. Then the doctor smiled faintly. "Well, it's his last chance to rest. He should sleep as much as he can." Silro reported, "Muscle fiber conversion during Yimeng's butterfly dance analysis reached 80%, meridian synchronization 75%, estimated completion, half an hour." An hour later, Dr. Bai was startled awake by a sudden noise. He rushed over to check on Chion. The boy was trembling violently, vomiting uncontrollably. The doctor grabbed his wrist in alarm. "What's going on?" "He was sleeping soundly. Why is his pulse going insane? It's like his heart's tearing itself apart." Silro immediately stabilized the body's internal backlash caused by cellular restructuring. Dr. Bai blinked in confusion. "Now it's steady again. What in the world? Master Yi never mentioned anything like this." He sighed and shook his head. "Forget it. Let him sleep. I'll just go eat first." Sometime later, Chion slowly regained consciousness. He clenched his fists. His grip strength was completely different from 3 hours ago. "So this is how hard Master trains himself." He thought that if he knew I achieved this in just 3 hours, he'd faint on the spot. Even without using qi, his master's technique alone could produce incredible pressure waves. Silro's scan had now finished completely. "Thank you, Master, for teaching me everything." Qion murmured. Yimeng's parting words echoed in his mind. Once you return to the academy, it will be tough. Don't lose, my disciple. At least there was still someone in this ruthless academy who cared about him. Silro reported, motion analysis and muscle conversion complete. Duration, 3 hours. That was the cause of the earlier physical reaction. Perfect, Qion whispered. Even with just the first form of the butterfly dance, my movements match Master's exactly. Next, the second form. Suddenly, his senses tingled. Someone was walking down the hallway toward him. Could my perception have grown sharper along with my body? He wondered. Good, I'm ready now. The footsteps stopped outside his door, then entered. It was only Dr. Bai. Qion quickly dressed and pinned his academy badge back on. The doctor sighed. No patients left, and now you're leaving too. My days will be dull again. Qion smiled faintly. Don't worry that you'll have plenty soon enough. And thank you for everything these past days. Qion Yowun thought to himself. If Dr. Bai hadn't pretended not to see me training under the right guardian, my time in the infirmary would have been unbearable. That I won't forget his kindness. He smiled faintly. Don't worry, Doctor. I'll make sure patients keep coming your way. Once fully recovered, Qion resumed his martial training. The instructor handed him his gear and ordered him back to the team. Tian Wujin watched him from afar, his gaze dripping with disdain. So you finally showed up, he sneered. What's wrong? Still trembling in fear? Qion ignored him completely and walked past without a word. Don't celebrate too soon, Tian growled. I'll make sure you regret standing here. Live blade combat drill, begin, the instructor shouted. Focus your mind, keep proper distance. If another accident happens, I'll personally throw the offender out of the academy. Though arrogant and violent, Tian Wujin still carried the aura of a true heir candidate. Worried Qion might make mistakes, the instructor placed him in a low movement position. Yet to everyone's surprise, Qion kept perfect pace with the formation. Maintain formation and posture, the instructor barked. 15 minutes later, several students were already at their limits. The instructor frowned. Strange, even trained ones tire this fast. His eyes fell on Qion. But that kid, after lying in the infirmary so long, why is he perfectly fine? The instructor barked a new command. Formation change. Tian Wujin shouted orders, forming the squad into a half circle as if surrounding an enemy. Half step forward, long stride. His voice thundered across the field. Qion moved cleanly, perfectly keeping pace. Rage twisted Tian's face. Why wouldn't that bastard make a single mistake? He couldn't stand the sight of a tainted blood doing better than him. He whispered to his follower, Zixian. When we hit the third formation, do exactly what I told you, he hissed. 15 minutes later, the order came again. Shield formation. Thanks to Silro's preloaded combat simulations, Qion adjusted flawlessly. Once the wall was formed, everyone drove their swords into the gaps between shields. Behind him, Zixian's gaze swept over Qion's back with a smirk. Filthy blood like yours belongs on the ground, he muttered. Qion twisted his body just slightly, dodging the incoming kick. He turned and glared. Zixian froze, then, cornered, swung his leg with full force. Qion countered with internal qi, reflecting the blow and sending him flying. A cold smile crept onto Qion's lips. Zixian roared with fury. You again, the instructor shouted. The one who injured student 23 last time. It was you, wasn't it? You're insane. 3 days freedom revoked. You'll undergo hell-level supplementary training until lights out. Argue again, and you're expelled. Around them, whispers spread. Many students had long despised Tian Wujin's arrogance. Hearing their murmurs, Tian's hatred for Qion deepened further. From above, Li Huoming observed calmly. His chi flow, stronger than I thought. Even if Yimeng taught him, that drunken fool couldn't have produced this. Could he really have absorbed the demon dragon pellets, full power? Half the bloodline, but still his father's son. 2 heir candidates in the same squad, neck and neck. This will get interesting. When afternoon training ended, the instructor called for dinner. After 14 days of thin porridge, Qion finally tasted real food again. But across the hall, Tian Wu-jin glared at him the entire time. I don't know why he hates me so much, Cheon thought, but I won't forgive them either. Do the six great sects know what it's like to watch your mother die helplessly before your eyes? From this day on, I will trample you all underfoot, Cheon Yo-woon said coldly. Dinner finished. The day schedule was over. Everyone dispersed except Zisian. Teammates' quarters were on the first floor, room 8. A voice barred his way. You don't enter without my permission. Bringing your lackeys. Always acting like the master, aren't you? The man played exactly as expected. Heads turned. Even the sound demon candidate, Tian Yuanli, watched. Tian Wu-jin, seeing the crowd, decided it was showtime. He strode forward and insulted him. Dirty-blooded brat, enjoying the infirmary while the rest suffer. Cheon shot back coolly. Are you insulting the sect leader himself? Tian froze, not catching his implication. Cheon pressed on, calling me tainted blood. Isn't that an insult to the sect leader? Who do you think you are, higher than heaven? Tian roared. Murmurs rippled through the onlookers. Tian had meant to humiliate him publicly, but the tables had turned. Tian Yuanli sneered. The subduing demon lot really are foolish. The sword demon candidate agreed. Tian had lost face. Tian Wu-jin snapped. I'll tear that arrogant mouth of yours apart. Cheon launched a fist straight at his face. Caught off guard, Tian crumpled to his knees from the blow. A mimic is coughing and asked, well, spit it out. That filthy wretch actually dares. Tian Wu-jin rockets forward, unleashing the demon-breaking fist. I slip aside in a blur and land lightly to the flank. Then I burst outward, vaulting into open space. Since when does that lowborn runt-no shadow step? Tian snaps at his lackeys. Move! Grab him! He strikes first and runs. If I let you off, I'm no man at all. I pace my lightfoot speed, not too fast, not too slow, just out of reach. Tian barrels after me, snarling at his men. Quit dawdling. Out of my way. I'll catch you, grind your face into dust, and scatter what's left. I keep stride with Tian for a spell, then stop exactly where I planned. Damn you, done running already? Running? Don't make me laugh. No need to let the others see it. Tian, off guard, eats the strike head on. He throws up 70% of his chi to guard, still staggers back. Now he realizes I'm not weak. How does he have a form like that? First stage, he had no inner chi. What changed? Good. Panic, just as expected, press the advantage. Butterfly dance, form 2, circling brocade. To my surprise, he slips it clean. Tian Wu-jin coiled and drove a heavy fist straight into me. The second form of his demon-breaking fist, a soft strike follow-up, came next, an elbow aimed at me. My inner chi still lagged behind his. Clearly this kid had stronger cultivation even before entering the academy. Now he'd taken the demon dragon pellet. His chi must have surged that I couldn't give him room to counter. Keep pressing the attack. I stepped with the spy shadow footwork and flashed to his side. Only after images reached the others. Yet that strike missed. Tian snapped a knee back at me in retaliation. He could see my forms flowed like cloud and water, but that I had no real answer to incoming strikes. My technique wasn't fully forged, yet it unnerved him. Clear evidence it was a rushed learning. Tian sneered. I'm using the stork step, you see? I'd only learned 2 blade forms and lacked combat experience. Had he really noticed? I'd underestimated Tian. The gap in real battle experience was huge. Tian intended to trample me first, brutalize me, then slowly interrogate how I'd acquired such skill. Silro detected external threat and activated Open Eye, enhancing the user's visual feed to heighten reality perception. Through combat coaching, it engaged action guidance, defensive mode. Somehow I evaded. Gathering power, I slammed a heavy punch into Tian Wu-jin's jaw. I was stunned myself. What I just used wasn't even a blade technique. What was that? Silro replied. Autonomous, running a defensive martial routine from stored programs, the IT provided targeted boxing guidance, analyzing the opponent's move and producing a response within 0.01 seconds. If you prefer not to use pure boxing, I can map the butterfly dance instead. Analysis and transfer complete. Coaching ready to D. Oh, you consent to this election? That lowborn bastard who learned a fist. He won't have so much luck now. Cairo received the command and switched its defense mode from fist technique to butterfly dance blade, revealing exactly where and how the opponent would strike. Cheon Yo-woon easily dodged Tian Wu-jin's punch. Now, it was Cheon Yo-woon's turn to counterattack. He turned his palm into a blade and struck Tian Wu-jin's body with brutal force. Painful memories flashed through Tian Wu-jin's mind. Jin, if you just try harder, your father will turn his attention back to me and stop caring about that filthy wench. You must win at all costs, understand? Yes, mother. It's because you're useless. If that filthy wench hadn't shown up. It's not my fault. You didn't perform. You're worthless. He remembered those damned memories at the worst possible moment, cursing inwardly. Damn it. Am I going to lose? Am I really going to lose like this? You think I'd lose to a lowborn like you? Cheon Yo-woon grabbed Tian Wu-jin by the head, slammed him hard onto the ground. Wu-jin could no longer resist. You brought this on yourself. If the second phase exam hadn't been run in groups, he would have smashed the other's skull long ago. Cheon Yo-woon didn't bother with more words and walked away from the dangerous spot. Without Kairil's aid, he likely would have lost. He learned martial arts fast, but experience can't be ignored. Perfecting the butterfly dance blades forms alone won't make him like his master. True mastery needs inner power in real combat. First, he must clearly understand how to use everything he already has. So Cheon Yo-woon called out to Kairil and asked how many of its functions he had used so far. Kairil answered from its log. Usage has never exceeded 30%. In other words, many functions remain untapped for Cheon Yo-woon. Kairil, list every function you have in detail. Kairil then asked if it should transfer the full specifications of the 7th-generation nano machine into his brain. To aid comprehension, Cheon Yo-woon agreed to add the built-in English language module. Do it. I'll take it all. A massive data surge hit his mind. The influx far exceeded the base functions. He felt a sharp sting and light dizziness, but no nausea. Good. Begin scanning the functions. Cheon Yo-woon asked, Can you really do all of that, Kairil? Kairil replied it could enable augmented reality training simulations for repeated sparring, a tool to make up for his lack of real combat experience. Kairil explained, high-fidelity simulation requires motion data tied to an opponent's actions. Although data from the earlier Tian Wu-jin fight was limited, a virtual opponent could be generated from combat logs. Fine, start now. Kairil activated his visual feed in OpenEye that amplified the augmented reality. Before spawning the virtual fighter, it asked to set the simulation's impact level on the user. Cheon Yo-woon set it to 100%. The virtual figure copied Tian Wu-jin's arrogant tone and taunted, Come on, lowborn, try me. Cheon Yo-woon flinched. Even the opponent's nauseating expression had been simulated. If it was only virtual, he thought, then this time he would smash that head. Virtual Tian Wu-jin launched his attack. Demon Subduing Air Fist, 5th technique. Demon Subduing Assault. The move replicated the real strike perfectly. Cheon Yo-woon slipped aside, avoiding the blow. His knife hand came down with full force, but it still missed. Tian Wu-jin sneered. You think reckless attacks like that will work? Then he punched, sending Cheon Yo-woon flying. Kairil used the pain profile from Cheon Yo-woon's earlier hit to drive the nano machines in his body, recreating the same impact intensity. Adjust impact intensity? Kairil queried. Cheon Yo-woon, annoyed, replied, Forget it, continue as is. Lowborn bastard, come at me. The virtual Tian Wu-jin taunted arrogantly. Damn it, he's always this annoying. Cheon Yo-woon muttered through clenched teeth. But it's just a virtual copy anyway. Time blurred. Before he knew it, Cheon Yo-woon was lying on the floor, completely exhausted. Current time, high hour, Kairil reported. Damn, 15 rounds, and I only won the last one. The first match lasted 5 seconds before I lost. If the virtual model's already this strong, I'd be crushed even worse against the real Tian Wu-jin. Kairos data showed that during repeated simulations, Cheon Yeo-woon's movement, adaptability, and butterfly dance blade frequency had steadily increased. But what's the point? That bastard keeps using the same 3 moves, and I've only beaten him once. Fine, just wait. I'll take down this virtual Tian Wu-jin within 7 days. When he returned to the dorm, everyone deliberately avoided him. Beating one of the cult's candidate heirs was enough to make people step aside. Su Feng suddenly approached, smiling a little too warmly, and even pointed out where Cheon Yeo-woon's bed was. The others didn't understand why Su Feng was acting that way. Cheon Yeo-woon noticed the change and thought, what's he after this time? Su Feng already knew he'd been abandoned by Tian Wu-jin. With nowhere else to go, he decided to gamble everything. Student number 23, Su Feng, he declared, pledges loyalty to young Lord Cheon Yeo-woon. I'll serve at your command. Everyone thought he'd lost his mind, pledging himself to the powerless 7th young master. Even Cheon Yeo-woon was momentarily surprised. Su Feng bowed deeply. Please forgive my earlier disrespect. Let me serve under you, my lord, that I'll give my all. For someone like Cheon Yeo-woon, who never trusted anyone easily, this was the first time someone had volunteered to follow him. Unlike Zhang, the guard assigned by the academy, this man offered his loyalty freely. Maybe it was time to build his own power. Cheon Yeo-woon gave a small nod. Su Feng's eyes lit up with joy as he swore to serve him till death. Suddenly, a sharp voice cut through the air. Zi Xian roared. You worthless insect! Who the hell do you think you're pledging to? Su Feng trembled in fear, but he knew he couldn't back down. Cheon Yeo-woon glared coldly. Who the hell do you think you are, calling someone else's man an insect? You're the real insect, always chasing after someone else's tail. Zi Xian roared. You lowborn trash. His punch came flying, but Cheon Yeo-woon dodged easily. With a sharp backhand strike, he sent Zi Xian crashing to the floor. Compared to the virtual Tian Wu-jin, this fool was nothing. Su Feng felt even more certain. He had chosen the right master. Cheon Yeo-woon waved toward Tian Wu-jin's direction, smirking. Want to go again? Go ahead. Enjoy yourself. Even with a lackey like that, nothing about you will change. The onlookers were stunned. The brutal Tian Wu-jin, beaten in a clash of qi? Still, the prestige of the subduing demon sect lingered in the air. Maybe, just maybe, Cheon Yeo-woon really could restore the glory of the heavenly demon cult. 7 days later, the second phase exam began. As planned, every 4 neighboring groups drew lots to decide their opponents. Groups 1 to 4 stepped forward. Oddly, groups 2 through 4 had all changed leaders. Only Group 1 still followed Zuamazong's Tian Wuyan. Li Huoming smiled faintly, as if he already knew something. The drawing ended quickly. Group 1 versus Group 3, Group 2 versus Group 4. Next, Groups 5 to 8 stepped forward. Strangely, 2 more group leaders had been replaced. Something happened that even Li Huoming hadn't expected. Group 8's new leader was Cheon Yeo-woon. When Tian Yuanli saw him, her heart sank. She knew something had gone wrong. She had already warned Tian Wu-jin again and again. That idiot. The day before, after training ended, Tian Wu-jin looked at the teams, still practicing, and sneered. Fools, every one of them. Did it ever occur to you that your whole strategy's been exposed? Nothing worth watching that go train instead. Tian Wu-jin scoffed and turned away. Wait, Tian Yuanli called out. Tian Wu-jin shot her an irritated glance and started to leave. But she stepped in front of him again. What the hell are you doing? He snapped. I thought long and hard before calling you out, she said firmly. Do you really have to act like this? He still remembered how she'd mocked the Demon Void sect as a bunch of fools, so he didn't even want to talk to her. Yuanli sighed, rubbing her forehead in frustration. Unbelievable. Fine, I'll keep it short. She lifted her right arm, revealing a deep wound. Last night, I was attacked while training alone. What? Who dare do that? Tian Wu-jin asked in surprise. The attacker wore a mask that I couldn't see his face. So you were careless, he said coldly. That's why it happened. Don't take this as a joke, she shot back. I wasn't careless for even a second. If I was targeted, she warned, then you probably are too. We're in the same team after all. The final could have been finished in one round, she continued, but they split it into 4 groups. That means every team already knows who they'll be up against. So they made that info public on purpose, to lure people into taking out the other group leaders, right? Tian Wujin nodded. Exactly. Without a leader, the formation collapses. The exam's tomorrow, Yuan Li said seriously. Don't let your guard down again, and stop training alone that it's too risky. I don't want to hear that the so-called young heir failed the 2nd phase exam. That would be pathetic. Tian Wujin frowned, that he couldn't believe the weakest one among them was lecturing him. How arrogant. Still, he couldn't ignore her warning that he decided to take Zi Xian and continue training. That night, at high hour, Qian Yowun swore he'd beat the virtual Tian Wujin within 7 days. But Kairos analysis showed only a 60% chance of success. Even so, Qian Yowun had grown much stronger over the past week. Cairo predicted he'd reach his target in just a few more days. On his way back to the dorm, he suddenly heard the sound of a fight. "Who's over there?" he muttered. It was too dark to see. One figure seemed to be lying on the ground. "Cairo, activate night vision mode." The scene sharpened instantly. One of them was Tian Wujin, clearly being attacked by a masked man. The masked man's sword was lightning fast. Tian Wujin was completely on the defensive. To suppress him that easily, the masked man's skill had to be extraordinary. Qian Yowun frowned, that he didn't want to help Tian Wujin, but losing a team leader before the exam would be trouble. The masked man reacted fast, dodging Qian Yowun's surprise attack in a blur. Yowun pressed forward, throwing another punch. But the masked fighter slipped away again with ease. This one's strong, unpredictable, Yowun thought. Realizing the danger, the masked man quickly retreated into the shadows. Tian Wujin looked stunned, that he never imagined he'd fall so low that Qian Yowun would have to save him. Yowun said flatly, "I'm leaving you here." He carried both men back to the dorm. "Treat the wounded now," he ordered. Su Feng asked worriedly, "My lord, you're not hurt, are you?" Chiral scanned the injuries. Head wound detected, 4 centimeters long, 2 millimeters deep. "Stop the bleeding, disinfect, and stitch it. That'll be fine," Yowun said. Someone gasped. "Young Lord Tian Wujin is bleeding." Yowun turned, realizing he'd focused too much on Zi Xian and hadn't noticed Wujin's condition. "Su Feng, get the instructor." They worked fast to stabilize him, but Tian Wujin was still in no shape to walk. "The exam's tomorrow," someone muttered. "If the leader can't move, our group's finished." Without a word, the instructor struck Wujin unconscious. He hoisted him up and started toward the infirmary. "There's another wounded here," Yowun called, but the man ignored him. Su Feng moved to carry the other student, but Yowun stopped him. "No need, that I'll do it." He lifted Zi Xian onto his back and caught up with the instructor, explaining the situation. The instructor replied calmly, "One way or another, someone would have brought him." That made Yowun pause. Thought he left the injured one there on purpose to make me follow? "Why?" Yowun asked. The instructor shrugged. "No reason, that it's just, your group looks like it's already failed." Yowun's eyes narrowed. "I see, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. Hand him over." "Students aren't allowed to leave the dorms at night," the instructor warned. "You know the rule that if your main fighter can't show up, the substitute takes his place." 2 words caught Yowun's attention. "Your group, so it's not just us," he muttered. "The 2nd phase exam, it's rigged. Target the leaders first, and the rest of the teams fall easily tomorrow." Qian Yowun said quietly, "I get it. The early draw wasn't random. It's designed to create a situation where only tricks and schemes win. This is the Heavenly Demon Cult. Rules don't bind us. Act like a cultist if you must." He turned to the other team members. "So, because a leader was attacked, how long will you stay in despair?" The truth is, only Tian Wujin has had command training that he knows how to lead in battle. Who else can take his place? Su Feng looked up and asked the group, "Why assume there's no one? Isn't Lord Qian Yowun right here?" Silence fell. Faces turned toward one another, unsure. The neutral students were the first to voice support. After all, Yeo Woon's presence matched Tian Wu-jin's aura. Tian Wu-jin's followers had no choice. They grudgingly agreed. "So, do you all agree I should lead?" Yeo Woon asked. "Good," he said. "I already thought of a tactic while training formation." That night, at an hour, one figure rose from the 8th group's dorm and slipped out. It was Cheon Yeo Woon. "Chiral, enable night vision," he whispered. "Begin operation." He returned to the 7th group's dorm, a place he'd visited before. Chiral scanned the room. Everyone inside was asleep. "Is the attacker inside?" he asked. Chiral compared biometric data and found no matches. "No matter, I'll knock them out and move on," Yeo Woon thought. One man, the 7th group's leader, stirred awake. Yeo Woon dropped him quickly. He was sharp, a proper leader. He pulled out a long needle and inserted it into several meridians and pressure points. The man would be unable to walk for a while. This wasn't a direct kill. Yeo Woon told himself that don't get angry about it. With that done, he moved to the next room. He judged that Tian Yuanli, leader of Group 5, wasn't the masked man. Her skill level lagged behind Tian Wu-jin's. "So that means the one who attacked Tian Wu-jin is in Group 6, Cheon Yeo Woon muttered. 16 members detected, Chiral reported, all currently asleep. 16? That's wrong. Add the 3 female students in the 2nd dorm, and it should be 19. One's missing. No biometric match to the masked man, Chiral confirmed. The missing one is the likely suspect. If they were in the 1st floor dorms, I would have seen them during patrol, Yeo Woon reasoned. Wait, why am I even hesitating? They went after our leader. Then I'll do the same, an eye for an eye. The next day, the lots were drawn for the matchups. When Li Huoming heard that Cheon Yeo Woon had become Group 8's leader, he understood immediately. Someone had taken out that brat from the subduing demon sect. He thought that so the exam really does have hidden intent. The Demon Academy never disappoints. He smiled as he spoke aloud. Everyone prepared well for this exam. Let's fight with honor. Fair and square. Fair and square. The words sounded almost mocking. As Yeo Woon stepped down from the stage, he felt a stare from the crowd. That gaze, it's familiar. Chiral, scan that one, he ordered. Within seconds, the system replied, height and bone structure, 100% match with the masked man. Finally, found you, Yeo Woon whispered coldly. Round 1, Group 1 versus Group 3. At Li Huoming's command, the battle began. Group 3 charged first. Their leader, Tian Weiyin, ordered his team to form battle pattern 3. Li Huoming raised a brow. Already switching to the slant formation, shields collided with thunderous impact. The fight left no suspense, a one-sided domination. Standing tall, Tian Weiyin looked down at the opposing leader. Surrender, he ordered. The man lowered his head in defeat. Their opponents weren't exactly weak, but the match ended far too quickly, almost anticlimactic. Group 1. All members passed the 2nd phase exam. Li Huoming announced, Round 2, Group 4 versus Group 2, victory to Group 4. Next match, Group 8 versus Group 5. At the main arena, Cheon Yeo Woon glanced back at his team. The morale had dropped. Not good, he muttered. Not like this. You're nervous, aren't you? He asked aloud. I know. Changing leaders made everyone uneasy that I'm nervous too. But if we lose here, we'll be expelled from the Demon Academy. It's too soon for that, we have to climb higher. The coward who hurt our leader wants us to fail. We can't let that happen. If you're with me, then we won't lose here. We will win. Watching from the stands, Li Huoming smirked. He knows how to rally them. Let's see. Tiger's son or stray cat? We'll find out soon enough. Begin the match, Li Huoming declared. Tian Yuanli's eyes turned sharp. She'd already decided to crush Group 8, the one led by Cheon Yeo Woon. A man like you doesn't deserve to fight for the heir's position. For your pitiful life, leaving the academy now would be mercy. Attack, she commanded. Chiral, open eye mode. Engage augmented reality, Yeo Woon ordered calmly. Formation assist, tactical instruction mode on. Hold positions, he commanded. Across the field, Tian Yuanli ordered her team into Formation 2. The enemy shifted into a spearhead formation, recommended counter. Fishscale formation, Chiral advised. Just as I thought, Yo-Woon murmured. This one's head on. Everyone, Formation 6, stand behind me. Li Huoming frowned from above. Fish scale, he's insane. Without a strong frontman, it's useless. If the leader lacks power, the formation collapses. Did I misjudge him? You dare challenge me? Tian Yuanli shouted. Fine, let's see you crawl then. Her shield slammed against Cheon Yo-Woon's with a deafening crash, the impact throwing up a wave of pressure. What the? She blocked it. Yo-Woon thought, stunned she'd actually endured a strike carrying his full strength. His inner energy might be weaker than Tian Yuanli's, but with his master's external techniques, he easily surpassed her overall. Now this is exciting, he muttered, eyes gleaming. The rear of her spearhead formation's unstable. If she doesn't switch soon, it'll collapse. Forced to retreat, Tian Yuanli ordered her team to shift into Formation 1. Calm and precise, Yo-Woon commanded, switch to Formation 3. Yuanli sneered, trying the same trick that Group 1's leader used. Your chi is decent, but your tactics are pathetic, Cheon Yo-Woon. Formation 6, she barked. A fish scale formation cut straight through a slant formation. Once you're isolated, I'll end you myself. But Yo-Woon just smirked. Spread out, he ordered. What? Yuanli gasped. Without warning, his formation shifted into a crane wing pattern. Don't panic. Guard both flanks. Yuanli shouted. Yo-Woon's calm voice followed. Switch to Formation 2. A spearhead here? Yuanli frowned. Eyes front. But before she could adjust, her team was surrounded from every direction. What the hell is he doing? She yelled, panic rising. The moment Yo-Woon's troops locked into position, the truth revealed itself. It was a square formation. The numbers were a bluff. Yuanli realized, too late. This was exactly the battle plan Cheon Yo-Woon had laid out the night before. Tian Yuanli trembled with rage. That low-born bastard, he's been playing me all along. Suppress them, Yo-Woon ordered. The enemy formation faltered. One by one, the soldiers dropped their shields. What are you doing? Yuanli shouted. It's not over yet. But they stood in silence. Not one dared to move. No, they'll laugh at me. Everyone will laugh at me, she cried, her voice breaking. Cheon Yo-Woon, I'll kill you. Yo-Woon tossed aside his shield. His blade hummed with inner force as it clashed violently against hers. Second strike. Third, fourth, fifth. In the end, Yo-Woon prevailed. Yuanli's eyes widened in disbelief. My arm. Her scream echoed across the arena. The instructor rushed forward to stop the bleeding. Yo-Woon frowned slightly. Was it because I used a sword, not a blade? He destroyed her scabbard in 5 moves, but hadn't completed the final strike. As expected, training swords still have limits, he thought. All members of Group 8 passed the second phase exam. Li Huoming announced. The group erupted in cheers, surrounding Yo-Woon. Long live Lord Cheon Yo-Woon. Li Huoming narrowed his eyes. That was butterfly dance, 7 link blades. His chi and comprehension are still lacking, but the technique itself rivals Yiming's. That drunk old fool, what did he do? In just 21 days, the boy's grown beyond belief. Brilliant tactics, precise command, and that fearless strike that severed Tian Yuanli's arm. That was true genius. Li Huoming sighed quietly. If I weren't the head of the Demon Academy, I'd take him as my disciple myself. But then his tone darkened. Still, Cheon Yo-Woon, don't get too pleased with yourself. You've just revealed your full strength to everyone watching. The next match pitted Group 6 against Group 7, but the 6 group's leader was still injured from that night's ambush. His side throbbed with pain. Yet, despite the injury, he had secretly crippled his own teammates' legs while they slept. That bastard, Yo-Woon muttered. It's him, the masked attacker. All that pretending to be weak was just an act. Seeing the limping opponents, Group 7 thought victory was already theirs. They boldly took Formation 6, preparing to crush the enemy in one clean push. The 6th group's members, convinced they were doomed, barely held formation. Their leader sneered. You'll thank me for this for the rest of your lives. Formation 5, Spearhead, I'll take the lead. You limping fools think switching formations will help. The seventh leader mocked. The sixth leader said nothing, eyes cold as steel. In an instant, the two clashed. The sixth leader's strike shattered his opponent's shield. Then came the wet, ripping sound of flesh, echoing through the arena. "Move up," he roared. "Use that fool's body as a shield. Break through." Group 7 was overwhelmed in seconds. Under the sixth leader's ruthless command, they were cut down without a chance to recover. Li Huoming frowned. "Who is that man? Even I don't recognize him." The sixth leader turned his gaze toward the stands, his voice low and sharp. "You're next, Chon Yeowon." Yeowon's eyes narrowed. "Great that I've just made myself a dangerous new enemy." The second phase exam ended soon after. Many elders from the upper sects looked dissatisfied because this group-based format meant that even talented disciples were dragged down by weak teammates. If the rankings weren't reevaluated based on the failed candidate scores, the upper sects would surely protest to the headmaster. After all, the disciples from great families had their clan techniques to rely on. But for those from small sects, missing the Demon Academy's resources meant their paths were all but over. Those who passed the second phase exam should be heading to the scripture hall right about now, Li Huoming murmured. At that very moment, Cheon Yeowon stood before the massive scripture hall. It was even grander than the main Demon Academy itself, towering like a fortress of ancient stone. While he had been resting in the infirmary, the others had already explored the first floor. Today, they'd likely moved on to the second. His master's warning echoed in his mind. Until you finish the second exam, don't waste time on useless things. Focus only on the butterfly dance and the formless heart technique. Useless things his master had meant the scripture hall itself. Because of his training, Yeowon had already studied martial arts that only appeared on the 4th and 5th floors. His master once boasted, "Nothing on the first floor can compare to our sect's teachings." But Yeowon had chiral, and he planned to scan every scroll and manual from the first 2 floors before leaving. It was his first time seeing so many books gathered in one place. He only had 1 hour to stay on the first floor. Time was precious. "Chiral, keep scanning everything I touch," he ordered. Each book took him only a few seconds to flip through. After scanning 50 volumes, he still had half an hour left. "Store the data, don't upload it yet," he said calmly. He then walked deeper into the inner shelves that I've seen the outer section. Now let's check inside. In the very center of the hall stood a massive stone monument, dark and imposing. The warrior guarding the first floor looked formidable, like someone who'd seen countless battles. Why place a monument in the middle of a library? Yeowon wondered. The guard glanced at him, noticing the insignia on his chest, the mark of a young lord candidate. "That monument," the guard said solemnly, "was left by the founder of our sect, the great heavenly demon himself." Only then did Yeowon notice the faint inscriptions carved across the stone, a poem etched in ancient calligraphy. The faint carvings stunned Cheon Yeowon. "Were these etched with a finger?" he asked in disbelief. The guard nodded solemnly. "Yes. Ordinary men couldn't even scratch jade with a blade, but the Grand Founder channeled his chi into his fingertips and carved them barehanded." Yeowon was shaken. Most people would spend hours just trying to read a single book, let alone grasp such mastery of inner force. "Maybe it's the heavenly demon's blood in me. That's why I can feel this presence," that he gave a faint smile. Honestly, I almost walked right past it without noticing. The guard sighed. "No surprise there, it's just an old poem on jade to most. I've stood here for over 20 years. Not once has anyone stopped to look. Even those bearing the heavenly clan's blood ignored it." "You'd best move along," the guard added. "Finish what you came here for." As Yeowon turned to leave, something caught his eye, something off about the back of the monument. He circled behind it. The reverse side was covered in deep, chaotic scratches, as if someone had tried to hide something. "Chiral, analyze those markings." "Analysis complete," Chiral replied. "They were made with the tip of a sharp blade." Yeowon frowned. Who would dare deface the Grand Founder's monument? Cross-referencing depth and strike angle, Chiral continued. "These carvings were made by 2 different swordsmen. The naked eye couldn't tell. The cuts blended into one another in perfect chaos." Project them in 3D. Chiral. Use augmented overlay. A holographic grid unfolded before his eyes. Every mark carried a different rhythm. Thrusts, slashes, and strikes layered over each other. "They're too random," he muttered. "Could it be someone tried to cover up the original script?" "Chiral," he commanded, "keep only the earliest markings. Erase the rest." The original sword marks were quickly isolated by Chiral. Shion Yeowun's pupils narrowed sharply. These weren't random scratches. They were the traces of countless sword moves woven into a single technique. "So that's it. I still lack true insight." He thought that I can't even tell what this form really is. "Chiral," he asked, "can you analyze the markings and recreate the sword technique in projection?" "To measure the force applied," Chiral replied, "I must first determine the jade's hardness." Just then, the guard returned, puzzled. "Still here. Haven't read a single book yet? You look at the back of that stone, right? It's a mess, nothing worth seeing. Rumor says it once held the heavenly demon's personal sword teachings, but someone defaced it long ago. Maybe they wanted to keep the founder's secret for themselves." Yeowun listened quietly. "That's so? Were those marks really just damage?" When the guard left to patrol, Yeowun's eyes sharpened. Perfect timing. "Place your palm on the surface," Chiral instructed. "Contact will allow hardness analysis." A sting shot through his hand the moment he touched the stone. "Based on a Mohs scale," Chiral reported, "Diamond ranks 10, that this jade ranks 7. Reconstructing strike combinations. Generating 3D projection." A golden silhouette appeared before him. Yeowun stared at the phantom. "Who are you?" he began, but Chiral cut in. Dialogue unsupported. Beginning playback. The figure moved, its blade flashing with impossible speed, replaying the past in a storm of golden light and ringing air. Is that one move?" Yeowun stammered. "Affirmative," Chiral answered. "All motions connect as a single sequence, classified as one technique." "That's insane." The butterfly dance contained 8 forms. His master had needed half a year to master them all. But this strike, it was beyond comparison. A technique no defense could survive. "I thought the first floor held nothing special," he breathed. "Chiral, store this data. Don't transfer it yet." He gazed at the monument, heart pounding that if not for those messy scratches, I would have missed this treasure entirely. But who? Who tried so hard to hide it? Shion Yeowun stared at the monument, his thoughts tangled. Strange, that man's defacement gave me this sword art. Should I be grateful to him? Then Chiral began analyzing the erased patterns. Result: 45 sword techniques, each one connected in motion and form. Yeowun froze mid-step, stunned. So it wasn't random damage. Each scratch was a move? Confirmed, Chiral replied. All 45 techniques were engraved over time, in chronological order. Project them all, Yeowun ordered. The first sword form appeared in glowing light. Then came the second, third, 10th, 20th, 30th. With each display, the forms grew sharper, smoother, evolving toward perfection. By the end of the 45th form, sweat drenched his back. Just watching them felt like standing before a storm of blades. Chiral, pit the very first technique against these 45 that I want to duel. Combat simulation confirmed, beginning in 3, 2, 1. Dual mode engaged. 2 luminous figures, one gold, one green, collided in a blur of impossible speed. Yeowun focused, tracking every strike, every feint. In the end, the green figure won. The first perfect form defeated by one evolved variation that he finally understood. Those 45 marks weren't erasures. They were the notes of a lifetime's research. Someone spent years refining, perfecting, until they broke the unbreakable. Tell me, Yeowun asked the guard, is jade only found on this floor? No, the guard answered. Each floor has its own, though the quality differs. Good, Yeowun murmured, a faint grin forming. Then the second floor awaits. As he ascended, he found nearly every student gathered there. The second floor offered 30 extra minutes of reading time. Among them stood Tan Lucan, prodigy of the Blade Demon sect, one of the 6 great orders. Unlike the others who trusted only their own sex arts, Lucan still sought more. I'll have to keep my guard up around him, Yeo-woon thought. Moving silently, he crept toward the center of the 2nd floor, where the rarest tomes awaited. Sure enough, another stone monument stood at the center of the 2nd floor. Yeo-woon ordered, "Chiral, analyze the sword marks, same as on the 1st floor." "Initial carvings detected," Chiral reported. 24 connected moves forming a complete technique. Additional markings later engraved. Total count, 56 sword forms. So they studied even harder here, trying to break the 1st form, Yeo-woon thought. With so many eyes around, he couldn't risk projection. Chiral, extract everything and store it for now. A faint grin touched his lips. Point 4 supreme techniques in one day. I can't wait to upload them into my body. Around him, students immersed in their studies frowned at the constant sound of pages turning. Yeo-woon ignored them, flipping through each book in seconds. What looked like nonsense reading was actually total data capture. Half an hour left, one student whispered, "Forget that guy, focus." Another thud as Yeo-woon closed a book. "Scan complete," Chiral announced. From across the hall, Lucan of the Blade Demon sect watched him. A smirk crossed his face. He has no idea what he's doing. "Total scans, 156 volumes," Chiral reported. "Analyze and archive them," Yeo-woon ordered. "Next," he murmured, "comes what Master kept warning me about. Real experience. Activating Chiral's augmented reality combat module. He thought, if I'm right, this will let me build thousands of battle simulations." Rumor said that after the 2nd exam, the personal training chambers would finally open, that he could hardly wait to upload the techniques and test them for real. But just as he turned to leave, a cold voice blocked his path. It was the leader of Group 6. Yeo-woon stopped. "What do you want?" The man's gaze was sharp and venomous. "You really have to ask? You think I wouldn't know?" The Group 6 leader snarled. "You're the one who crippled my entire squad's legs, aren't you?" Seeing the killing intent in the man's eyes, Yeo-woon smirked. "Oh, then tell me, who allowed you to still stand here?" His tone dripped with mockery. The man's reply was calm, cold. "Thanks to you." Not the type to fall for provocation, Yeo-woon realized. He's strong. I'll have to take this one seriously. Just then, a voice called out from nearby. Neither man turned. Their gazes stayed locked, tension crackling between them. "Ignoring me," the newcomer said lightly. In the next instant, a blur appeared between them. Lucan of the Blade Demon sect. He grinned. As expected, the group leaders who passed the 2nd exam are cut from a different cloth. Turning to the Group 6 leader, he said cheerfully, "I've been waiting for him quite some time. Mind letting me go first?" He even clasped his hands politely in salute. The Group 6 leader froze. A candidate for young Lord bowing to him? His expression darkened. "I've been looking for him all day. Get lost." Lucan tilted his head. "Oh, that's a problem. I've been waiting here for hours just to meet him." The insult was too much. The man roared, unleashing a strike filled with raw killing intent. Liotsan's body shifted slightly. His blade flashed once, turning the strike back in an instant. He smiled. "How's that?" Yeo-woon watched in disbelief that he broke a new technique with a single move, just by reading it once. The Group 6 leader could hardly stand. He hadn't even formed a stance before he was subdued. Lucan tilted his head, studying him. "Your ribs injured, aren't they?" The man's eyes widened. "He's no mere student. He's a monster wearing a smile." Lucan patted his shoulder lightly. "Relax, you'll be fine in a moment." The man gritted his teeth, said nothing, and walked away. "So what does he want from me?" "To strike first." Whatever the reason, Yeo-woon knew. Facing him alone would be suicide. "Chiral," he whispered, "activate augmented reality. Combat guidance mode. Set pattern, butterfly dance." Lucan smiled gently. "Why are you so tense?" Then he nodded to himself. "Well, from your position, I guess it makes sense." His lips curved into a teasing grin. "No need to be so paranoid. It's the first meeting between half-brothers, after all. I'm glad to finally meet you, brother." Brother. The word felt alien to Yeo-woon. Anger flashed in his chest. Was this man mocking him? Sensing the shift, Liu Kang sighed. Ah, I see. The six sects have made your life miserable, and oh wonder you're like this. Then why? Yowun shot back. Would you expect me to smile at you? Liu Kang chuckled softly. Because I just wanted our first meeting to be pleasant, I've grown fond of you. He lifted his hand, tracing an invisible line through the air. We're both men of the blade. After all, when I saw you cut off that boy's arm from Demon Shadow Sect, I was stunned. Since then, I've been your biggest admirer, brother. Enough nonsense. Yowun barked. Say what you're really after. The air between them thickened, heavy and sharp. Liu Kang sighed again. Seems getting close to you will take some time. Then his tone hardened. Fine, I'll be direct. Join the Blade Demon Sect, brother. Yowun froze. Are you serious? Of course, Liu Kang replied. I waited outside the archive just to tell you this. Oh, I look like I'm joking. I don't see you as an enemy, he continued softly. I want you to stand with me, by my side. You're asking me to give up the Young Lord competition then? That's not quite what I meant, Liu Kang said, arching a brow. But honestly, it's impossible for you anyway. Yowun's expression darkened. If I keep walking the Blade's path, I'll face him head on and lose. But if we walk together, Liu Kang added, you'll have a smooth road ahead. Doesn't that sound better? Yowun's laugh was cold. You call that not seeing me as an enemy? I refuse. Liu San's eyes narrowed. What? A smirk returned to his face. Then here's another offer. Your side won't take me either. Just stay out of my way, and I'll let you live. The tension snapped. The killing intent between them became real. Warning, Chiral announced. Hostile energy forming in target's right arm. Step left half a pace and counter using butterfly dance, second form. Circular wing alert. So it begins. Yowun thought, his body already in motion. Tian Liu Kang froze for a moment, then burst into laughter and T the same time. Chiral reported, power concentration in target's right arm is decreasing. Though he had been furious, he suddenly found it funny. All that effort for nothing. If we ever walk the same path, he said with a smirk, we're bound to clash head-on. Warning, Chiral announced again. Enemy is gathering a high-density energy field in the right arm. A sharp roar split the air, the sound of raw power tearing through space. Yowun's eyes widened. That sword aura? That's all you've got? Liu Kang scoffed. You're nowhere near killing me. To release Blade, energy barehanded meant perfect mastery. Total harmony of body and chi. The rumors of his duel with Tian Wuyun from the Dark Mystic Sect were clearly true. So this is the difference in level, Yowun muttered. See you next time, brother, Liu Kang said casually, turning away. Yowun watched him leave, jaw tight. I thought beating Tian Wujin and driving Tian Yuanli out meant I'd reach their level. No, my goal isn't to catch up, but it's to surpass them all. Meanwhile, Liu Kang recalled the moment he read my attack before I even moved. I hadn't even released my blade energy, yet he stepped out of range already. A faint grin crossed his face. Yeah, he's not like the others. Later that night, Yowun entered his private training chamber, barely 7 feet across, too narrow for full footwork drills. But the walls were thick stone, perfect for training without interruption. Chiral, he ordered, activate augmented reality. Instantly, holographic projections of the second floor monument techniques filled the room. These forms were faster, far more complex. Even with his butterfly dance's ultimate form, he couldn't block a single strike. Then came the later carved sword patterns. 56 moves unfolded before him. Flawless, fluid, breathtaking. Damn it, he muttered. Without a sword, mastering this is impossible. What began as awkward motion evolved into seamless perfection by the 56th move. So precise, it was beautiful. Chiral, Yowun commanded. Run a sparring simulation between the two sword styles from the second floor. The holographic duel began. The later carved technique won again. Just like before, the first so-called supreme sword form was broken by a single move. An idea struck him. What if I used the butterfly dance against those legendary forms? After all, the later style had once been unbeatable, until it wasn't. He closed his eyes and smiled faintly. Let's find out. Two versions of himself appeared within his mind, facing each other, one wielding the butterfly dance, the other the perfect sword form. Both gathered strength and struck at the exact same moment. Alert, Chiral announced. Neural activity increasing rapidly. Energy circulation stimulating acupoints. Dantian core activation rising continuously. Energy surged through his body, a powerful flow of internal force surrounding him like a living storm. His eyes snapped open, breath heavy. What has happened? I was only running a simulation. Did I just enter a mental realm? Then he felt it, the vast power coursing inside him. His inner strength had grown by 10 full years. Did I just comprehend enlightenment? He whispered. Without Chiral's help, his own mind had broken through. These forms, they truly are the pinnacle of martial arts. His breathing steadied. The flow of the butterfly dance felt lighter, sharper, alive. That old sense of sliding through emptiness was gone. Every movement now carried weight and purpose. So this is forming chi into shape. He clenched his fist. The energy wasn't fully materialized yet, but if he could absorb the demon dragon core, he'd gain 50 years worth of cultivation, enough to narrow the gap with Tian Lucan. Report, Chiral said. User remained in a state of complete trance for 1 full hour. It was almost time to return to the quarters. Xion Yowun knew he couldn't risk a full body transfer now. Chiral, he ordered, upload the first techniques from both floors, along with the 45th and 46th sword forms. Transfer them directly into my neural core. How long would it take to apply the transfer to the body? He asked. Estimated duration, 5 hours, Chiral responded. Yowun exhaled. Fine, I'll start early tomorrow then. When he returned to the dorms, a few training rooms were still lit. Some hadn't come back yet. Su Bong greeted him respectfully. Master, you've worked hard. He had also been training after memorizing the manuals, determined to improve even without rest. So, Yowun asked, find anything good? Nothing special, Su Bong replied modestly. Just a mid-tier art. I'm not good with bare hands, so I picked a leg technique instead. Yowun nodded slightly. Everyone was pushing forward now. The academy had given 3 days to rest, but those who truly sought strength had no time to waste. By the next afternoon, the full conversion of muscle fibers and meridians was complete. As Chiral ended the anesthesia, a wave of nausea hit him hard, applying internal stabilization, compensating for residual backlash, the system reported. Yowun steadied his breathing that IT felt like being born again. He clenched his fist, the power within him, utterly different. Compared to when he first learned butterfly dance, this was a transformation. Chi flooded through his veins like roaring water, raw and alive. He took off his shirt, staring at the mirror-like wall. His muscles were thick, defined, almost not his own. Fixing his eyes on the wall ahead, he began channeling energy into his palm. In the next chamber, the leader of Group 6 was training as well, deep in internal meditation. He knew too well. Ever since injuring Tian Wujin, his pride had started to blind him. The leader of Group 6 felt the gap between himself and Xion Yowun. It was like heaven and earth that if he wanted to regain his pride, he'd have to train harder than ever. First thing, forget that bastard completely, he growled, forcing Yowun's name out of his mind. Set a bigger goal. Become stronger than anyone. Suddenly, the wall beside him exploded with a thunderous crack. The blast shook the entire training hall, alarming the instructors outside. A violent shockwave burst through the debris, slamming into the Group 6 leader before he could even react. WH? What the hell? An assassin, he shouted, coughing blood. Who's got the guts to? His eyes widened. Xion Yowun, that damn brat. An instructor rushed in, furious. What do you think you're doing? Your lucky student 108 is still alive. If he'd died, you'd already be expelled. This will go on your record that you'd better understand that. From now on, you're restricted to the underground training chamber. Break another wall, and you'll lose training privileges entirely. Yowun bowed slightly. Understood, instructor, that I'll be more careful. As he walked away, the instructor stared at his back, muttering under his breath. He punched through a wall made of doomsday stone. Even the Elder Masters can barely chip that. His internal power, it's already at a terrifying level. Later, Yeo Woon frowned and asked, Chiral, why has my strength increased this much? Chiral responded, to enable physical impact sufficient to mark Jadeite-class stone, I optimize your muscle fibers and meridians to the highest tolerable threshold. Unlike the butterfly dance or short blade secret art, the calibration was not based on motion precision, but on physical output capable of leaving damage on jade surfaces that avoid affecting your growth plates. Minor power suppression was applied. Once the body reaches full maturity, potential output will increase further. Time is the only solution. Within current parameters, stimulating the growth plates is the sole method to enhance height. Cheon Yo-woon entered the underground training chamber, narrow, quiet, and cold. From the data transferred into his brain, this sword technique had been refined over decades, perhaps even crafted by the heavenly demon founder himself. The IT was his first time trying a supreme sword form, and despite himself, he felt tense. Let's start with the first form, he muttered. But the moment he swung, it felt wrong, nothing like what he imagined. Again, he whispered and unleashed the move once more, putting all his focus into it. Yet the result was the same, powerful but hollow, missing something vital. He decided to perform the entire set, the Blade of Regret, 45 continuous strikes in one flow. The first and second moves came out perfectly, sharp and fluid, but the rest, something was missing that IT wasn't terrifying like the holographic version. Chiral, he ordered, project a side-by-side comparison, my movement and the original sword pattern. Two figures appeared in light. Both moved at once. His eyes narrowed. There, it's different. His strikes were just linked motions. The original, however, carried rhythm and flow, and his own finish lagged by one beat. What am I missing? He muttered. Is it because I'm using form without energy? Even without inner flow, the motion shouldn't feel this lifeless. Then it hit him, the chi route of course. Just like the butterfly dance, without channeling energy through the right meridian path, the technique was nothing but an empty shell. So that's it. A sword without chi flow is just decoration. Suddenly, a memory flashed, the poem on the front of the Jade Monument. Chiral, bring up the projection of the first floor monument. Acknowledged, Chiral replied. The hologram shimmered to life. The ancient words appeared in glowing script. The great wind rises, the clouds fly high. Why might rules the land? My heart longs for home. Where are the warriors who guard the realm? Yeo Woon stared at the verse, murmuring, is there a hidden clue in these lines? Analysis complete, Chiral responded. The poem originates from the Han Dynasty, an ancient founding hymn. Probability of authorship by the heavenly demon founder, low. Cheon Yo-woon told Chiral to analyze the monument and look for hidden clues. Chiral reported that tiny holes were carved beneath every single character, but the number of holes varied from word to word. What could that mean? He guessed. Acupoints? For holes for 4 points, that didn't make sense. He recalled the first manual Chiral had scanned. It was about human meridians. The 4th point was the Joe acupoint, but proper chi flow should start from chi high below the dantian, which meant 7 points in total. Then a flash of insight. 3 strokes in the word to plus 4 dots equals 7. Each character combined with its holes matched 1 meridian precisely. The final 1 corresponded to the right hangman point. Everything aligned. Cheon Yo-woon had uncovered the hidden chi route. He shouted in delight, laughing wildly that I really am a genius. After dinner, he rushed to test the new route with the supreme sword form. Suddenly a voice called from behind. A student introduced himself as number 200, Rinbo, asking for a spar. They had never met. Cheon Yo-woon had no reason to agree and turn away. But Rinbo kept following, talking nonstop like a shadow. At last he offered a deal. If you defeat me, I'll give you information about the 3rd exam and a gift. Curious, Yo-woon led him to an open courtyard. He still didn't understand. Why risk a fight just to share intel? Rinbo smiled. to see if you deserve it. He drew his blade, grinning. I want you to witness the pride of our sect. Yeo-Woon lifted a hand calmly. Come on then. Rinbo charged, but Yeo-Woon tilted his head slightly, dodging with ease. Every follow-up strike missed its mark. Too slow, he said flatly, and countered with a hand blade strike. Rinbo coughed blood as his body was sent flying, blades spinning from his grip. Yeo-Woon froze, his whole body tense, that he hadn't controlled his strength. Did I just kill him? Rinbo never expected to lose so miserably. After watching Cheon Yeo-Woon fight Tian Yuanli, he thought he could at least last a few dozen exchanges. Now he understood. The man had been hiding his true power. You truly live up to being the son of the cult leader, he said with awe. As promised, Rinbo prepared to hand over the information. But Yeo-Woon asked first, why request a spar? Win or lose, it gains you nothing. Rinbo smiled faintly. I see you still don't trust anyone. Like I said, he continued, I only wanted to confirm something, my own qualification. There's a high chance the third exam will also be team-based. Yeo-Woon frowned. But the headmaster said himself, no more group exams. True, Rinbo said, but this one focuses on individual strength. It's meant to filter out candidates worthy of becoming senior warriors. To qualify, one must master a first-class martial art and possess at least half a lifetime of internal power. Only 20% of those who pass the second stage meet that level. Most will rely on the Demon Dragon Core to gain that power. That leaves one question: first-class techniques. The manuals on the second floor were only mid-tier. The real first-class arts will appear during the next exam. Yeo-Woon's eyes narrowed. That would make things too easy. Not quite, Rinbo replied. If my father's words were true, the core of the exam will involve the 7 demon swords, the formation known as the Sword Devil Annihilation Array. Yeo-Woon recalled Zhang the guard mentioning it before. The 7 demon swords. More than a sword art, it's a formation. It can be formed by 12, 36, or even 108 swordsmen. The more members, the greater the leap in power. Rinbo added, my father trained the 12-man version back in his time. Even the basic form of that array is impossible to grasp without the skill of a true first-class master. Finally, Rinbo revealed his reason. He wanted to test Yeo-Woon's strength and join him in the upcoming stage. From what I've heard, he said, the third exam will let students form their own teams, but the leaders will be assigned based on second stage scores. And those leaders, Rinbo smiled, get to choose whoever they want. Unlike the regular students, the third stage exam seemed tailored for the 6 great sects and their noble heirs. Cheon Yeo-Woon realized it at once. This test was part of the young lord selection itself, that if one failed to build a faction within the time limit and master both the exorcising sword and the sword formation, they'd be disqualified automatically. Rinbo smiled. Remember the gift I promised you? That gift is me. Yeo-Woon thought to himself, that's one gift I don't need. Rinbo believed Yeo-Woon would surely become a team leader. Calm, steady, far superior to those reckless students. His reasoning wasn't wrong, and his strength ranked just below a leader's, yet something about him felt off. Yeo-Woon decided to use that method. Aren't there other young lord candidates? Yeo-Woon asked. Why choose me? Scratching his head, Rinbo admitted, I already made the same offer to the heirs of the Dark Demon Sect and the Sword Demon Sect. They both refused. Their teams are full. Besides, he added, we're both men of the blade, aren't we? Hearing that, Yeo-Woon made up his mind. Rinbo bowed deeply. Please, let me serve under you. Yeo-Woon looked at him quietly, a faint smile curling on his lips. Rinbo brightened instantly, starting to kneel, only to hear, I refuse. He froze, thinking he'd misheard. Pardon? Yeo-Woon's tone turned cold. I said I refuse. Earlier, he had asked Chiral to perform a facial eye analysis on Rinbo. When Rinbo explained why he hadn't joined others, the lie probability was 45%. When he begged to be accepted, it rose to 62%. Numbers like that only deepened Yeo-Woon's suspicion. The final clue came when Rinbo said, we're both men of the blade. His mannerisms were eerily similar to Cheon Yeo-Woon's half-brother, Cheon Ryu-chan. So he worships the way of the sword, yet excludes the Blade Demon sect. How amusing, Yeo-woon thought. Later, Rinbo met with Ryu-chan to report that Yeo-woon had turned him down. Ryu-chan burst into laughter. So the kid took the info and walked away. What an interesting man. Rinbo's original plan was simple. Join that man's team, then skip the exam so Cheon Yeo-woon will be disqualified for lacking members. Cheon Ryu-chan chuckled. Letting him fail like that feels like a waste. If not for the young lord competition, I'd recruit him myself. Rinbo begged for another chance, claiming he had a new plan. Ryu-chan shook his head. No need. Find another team you can join. Who knows, maybe you'll become a leader yourself. Rinbo's face went pale with disbelief. Ryu-chan added lightly, don't take it too hard that I still have others to deal with. Then his voice turned cold. I don't need useless subordinates. Now get lost. Still, Ryu-chan couldn't understand how that boy had been defeated in a single move. Whether it was luck or real skill, he muttered, I'll find out soon enough. Meanwhile, Chiral had finished analyzing the hundreds of mid- and low-tier manuals Yeo-woon had scanned in the library. To Yeo-woon's surprise, Chiral could now generate virtual fighters capable of performing any martial art it had recorded.